Want to know what a real man would tell their lady about love and life? You're in the right place. This is Hello Ladies with Rom Wills. Rom Wills is a speaker and author of several books on relationships. Grab some wine, sit back, and enjoy.
Hello, ladies. Welcome to my spot. The male demon lovers. Now, I'm going to get into some deep stuff. It can even be scary when you think about it. Because I actually did a video on my men's channel talking about demon lovers. Now, I wanted to do this for the ladies. Now, the usage or the particular usage, like there's been some people talking about, the succubus and all of that, talking about y'all. Or some women in the female population. Incorrectly, they feel like that's most women. But, it's a very small subpopulation. Now, the version I'm talking about, it comes from some work by a gentleman I've mentioned before who wrote Awakening the Master Feminine, and that's Yao and Yamache Morris. Master Yao and Yamache Morris. And he had a chapter in his book, A Mummer Volume 2, The Natural Blueprint for Relationships. And here's some of the things he said. He said, embedded in the overall community is a subpopulation that just ain't trying to do the right thing. Their intentions towards the opposite sex are, shall we say, dubious at best. They are selfish, deceitful, angry, arrogant, and socially dysfunctional. The worst of them are downright evil. The best of them are a bad relationship just waiting to happen. These are the fiends of the relationship underworld, and the worst of them are demon lovers. Now, to understand a demon lover, talks about a lot, but just give you an understanding of them. To understand them. First of all, he wrote this. He said, the fiends of the sexual underworld do not necessarily look like the demons we see in comic books. It is just the opposite. Most often, they are men and women who are above average in the looks department. Most of them look trustworthy and innocent on the surface. They have one thing in common. He or she is skilled at seeing the things you want to hear. They may not have a degree in psychology, but they are very perceptive in sizing someone up. They have trouble relating to the opposite sex in normal ways, so they compensate by exploiting weaknesses and unfulfilled desires. The men know that most men are not as romantic or sensitive as the typical woman would like, so they learn how to be better at that than the average male. They listen for clues and act on them. These men are very willing to take risks and do what is socially unacceptable if it will please the woman because they have nothing to lose. They are not emotionally invested in the outcome of the relationship. They don't care about you or what you think about them, but they make you think they care very much. They seem carefree and living in the moment, and this has an appeal to women who often have kids and responsibility and must plan for the future. They are bad boys and roughnecks and seek to convince the women that other men are inferior to them because they are conservative and boring. Their strategy seems to work more oftentimes than not. There seems to be an abundance of females who rush into their arms gleefully. I ain't getting into the female demon lovers. Any males listening to this, go just check my for demon lovers on my male channel. But I wanted to say that because you have some guys out there I have to warn you about. Now, these ain't the type of guys trying to learn game on YouTube. And their level of game, in fact, I've said before, the demon lover male is probably top of the food chain. They top of the food chain. Because they'll have two things. They'll have a very strong sexual aura. Notice what I said, sexual aura. They might look average in the face, even though Master Yao said they're above average, but they might look average in the face. And actually more dangerous if they're really good looking. Now, Western culture might call it sociopaths or narcissistic personality or something like that. Honestly, Western culture might catch up to the real thing behind demon lovers, but that gets into some stuff I won't discuss on electronic media. So, anyway, the real thing. I'll just say there's some things that Western culture hasn't discovered yet. But yeah, these the men typically they're gonna have a strong sexual aura, but they're gonna they might not going they not gonna necessarily be drop dead gorgeous or anything like that, but they'll have enough going for them where they can read you like a book. They can read you like a book. Often with male demon lovers, in most cases, they came from very dysfunctional backgrounds as children. It was a combination, very dysfunctional, but also they tend to be extremely intelligent, particularly socially intelligent. Remember that part about being able to size up people. It was typically, like if you get a kid from, like you get some of these kids who in like really jacked up backgrounds, and you give them a combination of a good looks, body, and intelligence. And plus, they grew up in an environment where they never really learned how to rein in their sexual side. Oh, you got a very dangerous individual. Now, you have a few kids who might have been in that background. The only thing you're going to see is their sexual thing. And the most you might get from them is just a relationship that doesn't reach its fulfilling thing. But what they're able to do, what they do is typically because the males, but typically because of some hurt experience from the woman, they just tear into women. Y'all think some of these guys on YouTube now going in on you? Nah, this is nothing. Because you get somebody who has the ability, you gonna fall for them. They might just empty your bank account for something to do that day, or dog you out. And the shit's deeper. Like I said, it's a certain thing going on with them that Western science hasn't caught up with. If you talk to the indigenous shaman, they could probably explain it to you right away. They can explain it to you in a minute if you describe the person. Like I said, Western science, they'll just say this person's a sociopath or something, but they ain't necessarily sociopathic or even narcissistic. But they are different. For the spiritual among you, let's just say, for a spiritually gifted person, their aura might look a little bit different. I'll leave it at that. So these guys, and there's not a lot of them, and I can't even point to somebody on YouTube or something who represents one. Like if there was one on YouTube who represents that type of character, you can pick them out. There's some signs to pick them out, but again, I'll keep some of it to myself, but I'll just let you know the behavior, because to explain one, I had to explain the other. But the behavior is, if you get that guy, and he's going to be very attractive, very sexy, almost like a Prince Charming, almost too perfect. He can tell you what you want to hear before you even know you wanted to say it. He knows the answers to your questions before you ask them. And you like, that's the type, you meet him and all of a sudden it's Mr. Right. Like that dude, he can read that you might be some average woman, honestly, average body, but he'll make you feel like you're a beauty queen. Like a cousin to the demon lovers, those romantic con artists. Those are cousins. And the reason why I say cousins, because when you see their stories, I'm like, yeah, they lost some money and everything, but they haven't come across a demon lover. Like, actually, the best example of a demon lover is those guys who consciously fuck probably men and women and purposely give them AIDS. That's that type. They just gonna fuck over somebody. And this guy just gonna dog you just because. You might not have did anything, but he's like, I'm gonna dog the fuck out this woman. So it's deep. It's deep of wearing. But just to be clear, like I said, most of y'all will be lucky and never encounter one. Because they're not that prevalent. They're really not. They're not that prevalent. And like I said, it's something about them Western science hasn't caught up with, so please don't ask me about it, because then I had to explain other shit I keep to myself or keep among a certain crew. But watch out for, like, sometimes women get too caught up. The way you get caught up is usually they exploit, like, whatever. Know your own weaknesses. Know your own weaknesses and know your own buttons. And that's the best way. If you encounter one, don't try to spar with them. Run. So I wish they would. I might have to almost do a special one there. Interesting characters. Interesting how I know about them too, but that's another story. So anyway, that's all I got for today. Something to think about. Anyway, I'll talk to y'all ladies later. Peace.